The performances, again, are pretty good, and they're not bloated with a bunch of useless extra instrumentation where they're trying to convince you of like, oh man, we're so operatic, we're epic, we're like Queen, but punk, man. No, I would rather just listen to them do this because honestly, they're better at it. Now, does that mean I love these albums front to back and that I would like, you know, subject myself to listening to every single one of them collectively? No. But
all right, so don't list them then. Get them the fuck off the list. Do not list them. If you haven't listened to these records, you should not be ranking them. Why did you waste 20 minutes of my time if you're not gonna? Huh? Am I being unreasonable by saying that he shouldn't be ranking or reviewing shit that he didn't like listen to or attempt to understand? Am I being unreasonable? He's completely shown his ass to everybody here that to some of these records he hasn't even listened. He hasn't even listened to them. So like, why are we fucking making this video and ranking albums and music and the content of said albums if we're not even going to take the time and listen to them back to front? Okay. Hey guys, BadgerKnight here. I've been meaning to do a review on Green Day's new album, Saviors, and just to sort of get a feel of what everyone else's opinions on the record is, I watched Fantano's review of Saviors. And, well, let me just start by saying this. I think it is a great record. As a Green Day fan, it is everything that I possibly could have wanted from a new album, especially as their 14th studio album. Very, very good. Everything that I possibly could have wanted from the album, I got. We got some cool ballads, some ripping guitar riffs. BILLIE's vocals, I think, out of everything that I've listened to recently, because, you know, new album, them going on New Year's Rockin' Eve and pissing off every single conservative in America again by playing a 20-year-old song about the Bush administration, saying why your half of the political spectrum is composed of objectively awful people, and pissing them off yet again is always a fucking class act. And then, you know, that caused me to go back, listen to American Idiot, a little bit of 21st Century Breakdown, some Dookie, and also I have most of the box sets over here for all the records. So yeah, to say that I'm a fan of the band is putting it mildly. Now, however, despite all my biases, I'm still able to remain objective about this thing, about Green Day's music. I like to think because I'm a fan, I have certain expectations that I expect from Billie Joe Armstrong as a lyricist and a guitarist, Mike Dirnt as a bassist, and Trey Cool as a drummer. I'm a huge fan of Green Day, and as such, I have high expectations for all their stuff. And so far, those expectations have been met. There's a few dead songs on Saviors, but we'll get to that possibly in a separate video. But again, going through every single thing here, I watched Fantano's review of every single Green Day album that he's listened to, where he puts them on a tier list. And there was a point where I had to stop the video and go ahead and just go through everything, because this guy does not have a reasonable fucking bone in his body whenever the hell he decides to review Green Day songs, as we will see in just a second. And I did watch his review on Saviors as well. Do you guys want to know what grade he gave it? He gave it a 3 out of 10. You have to be drunk, sir. Or is he on something before he made that video? Because I don't. How is that record a 3 out of 10? Like, for a Green Day fan like myself, that's an easy 8 out of 10. It's probably one of their best albums they've ever made. And again, 14th album, very good, right? Billie ripping it up on the vocals, best performance I've seen him give probably since maybe Jesus of Suburbia on American Idiot. This man has pipes and he can sing. But like, a fucking 3 out of 10 for this guy? Because, oh, I don't like Green Day. Like, people, like even for fans of Green Day who don't necessarily appreciate the band for, you know, as a fan like myself, I would say it's probably either like maybe a 6 or a 7, perhaps even 5 at the lowest points of the record. But no, hang on. I don't know how else to say this, but fucking chill out. Learn what the word objectivity means, and then come back and perhaps give Green Day a fair shake in the future. I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and switch over the screens and we'll watch him rank every single Green Day album from S to F, starting with... Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead, chill out, watch this for a minute, and we're gonna go ahead and watch everything from A to F. From S to SF. I'm actually very curious to see what he thinks is Green Day's best and worst albums here. Let's go.
hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Nerd, I hope you're doing well. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. It's time for a tier list. Me going over all the albums, the core discography of a particular artist. And in this video, I'm recording in a shirt that Austin hates. I'm doing it anyway, I'm sorry. But also in this video, I'm going over the catalog of what is probably, the most commercially successful American punk rock band, Green Day. These guys are a trio hailing from California, who in a lot of ways put punk music and pop punk music on the map commercially. Some of the creative and commercial peaks they hit across their almost 40-year career they did when I was young, an adolescent music fan. So there are some pockets of their catalog I'm quite nostalgic for, frankly. And there are other pockets.
Yo, watch it only be Dookie. He's probably going to rank Dookie in S tier, and all the other albums are going to be like B or C or D. That's normally how it goes. For people like Fantano, they'll pick a point for some bands in their particular point in their discography and go, this is their dropping off point. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll start listing every single album that comes after American Idiot as like C, D, E, or F. I don't know. It'd be like for in regards to like parody with like say a band like Metallica, it would be like going up to a Metallica fan and the Metallica fan saying, Metallica hasn't made any good songs or music since Master of Puppets. That's essentially what I think he's going to be arguing here for. After Dookie, I'm curious to see how he places Insomniac and Nimrod, and perhaps Warning as well. Maybe 21st Century Breakdown, but we'll get to that in a minute, I guess.
Pockets of their catalog that not as much. So much so, in fact.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna ride Father of All's dick and to write it as the worst album of all time, which I would agree with. It's probably one of the most grating things I've ever had to listen to. And again, I mentioned I am a Green Day fan. That record was fucking atrocious. The only good songs off of there was probably Sugar Youth, Paint by Numbers Green Day song in my opinion, and Graffitia. But everything else, no. Maybe Meet Me on the Roof, but other than that, 3 songs out of the rest of the album, no, garbage.
There are a lot of people who think that I don't like Green Day at all, or that I hate the band, or I'm just generally not a fan in any way, shape, or form, which
we'll see about that, bud. Let's see where you put all this shit for the fucking tier list. Go for it.
Is absolutely positively not true. There's just select areas of
press F to doubt. We'll see.
Catalog I enjoy, and
we will see.
Just don't, not even a bit. Welcome to paradise. Okay, first let's kick things off with the band's 1992 album Kerplunk.
What about 39 Smooth? Where's 39 Smooth? You're not gonna rank what? Huh? Okay. I have so many questions. Okay, I'm gonna let the men speak, and we'll come back to this.
A lot of what I have to say about this record also applies to the 39/Smooth project they dropped before that, around 1990. Anybody who is...
So you're not gonna rank 39 Smooth as its own objective thing? I have so many problems with this already. Okay, so as a Green Day fan, again, and as someone who, well, seems to have an appreciation for their catalog or the entire discography of music, 39 Smooth, in my opinion, still contains some of Billie Joe's best guitar work, I think. Dry Ice and Paper Lanterns are some of my favorite songs. 1,000 Hours is really good. Rest is really good. And also, just a little background information for anyone else who's sort of learning about this stuff. When they released the 25th anniversary box edition of Dookie on Spotify and physical box releases, which I do have for Dookie, they actually sat down in the studio and ripped songs from Kerplunk and from 39 Smooth to try and maybe put it into put onto Dookie as like sort of bonus tracks, or to see how the album would sound now that they had some money from Kerplunk. Kerplunk, I want to say, sold 40,000 records. It was immensely successful, more successful than it had any right to being. And this is the album that put Green Day on the map. 39 Smooth, though, not putting it as its own separate album or own separate thing is fucking insane. Paper Lanterns, the whole thing with the mud show that they had at Woodstock, that album, that song is now famous. And whenever Green Day plays it live, it's kind of an ongoing joke with them that they never finish it. Because, you know, I guess the joke is, oh yeah, remember Woodstock? Remember that one point where people fucking threw mud at us? Yeah, that whole thing. Talk about the first album, bro. What is wrong with you?
There's kind of one thing and one thing only holding this record back from its full potential. It's that the performances are a little loose, a little too rough, and the production stinks. Yeah, I get it. Punk music, it's supposed to be raw, it's supposed to be noisy, it's supposed to be messy. There are untold amounts of punk records that sound as rough as this one and rougher and frankly are kind of superior albums. But there's just something about Green Day's pop punk style that just kind of warrants some more studio detail.
Where do you put
methodical approach on.
Which is why, like I said, they wanted to re-record some of the tracks from Kerplunk and 39 Smooth and put them onto Dookie because they had money now. They had a whole actual studio instead of like a shoestring budget to go ahead and make this fucking record. Which is why 409 Coffee Maker and Chrissy Road were recorded. Although I actually do prefer the Kerplunk version of Chrissy Road because the guitar bridge section, it sounds, it's appropriate for what the song is trying to communicate and the images that it puts in your mind, right? Sort of nostalgic trip going through Chrissy Road, hanging out by the railroad tracks because there's nothing else better to fucking do wherever the song is taking place. But then again, I can also appreciate the crunchiness of Dookie's guitars as well. I will agree that Kerplunk sounds pretty rough, but what are you gonna do? It's technically your second record. The Dookie version benefited from better production. Everything else though, it's fine. Like, I don't know what, like, you expected something else from their second record? Like, dude, come on. The complaint about the punk band is that the production is rough? That's it? Come on.
On the recording side of things, there are loads of tunes off this record that I think are quite good, and I have to wonder, like, how much better could they have sounded if they were given the sort of studio treatment that, you know, Dookie got.
Yes, this is why I'm talking about this stuff with Dookie and the re-recordings. This is how Welcome to Paradise exists both on Kerplunk and Dookie. They were aware of this problem and they fixed it. And then they released it again for the fucking 25th, the box edition. There's probably more songs that they're probably going to release, maybe, I don't know, in like another 5 years whenever Dookie turns 30. But yeah, so yeah, think about this. It's good.
I mean, there's even stuff on here where we don't need to imagine that. The song Welcome to Paradise was on this record before we heard it on Dookie, and on Dookie it sounds much freaking better. So unfortunately, hearing these tracks, many of which writing-wise are as good as Dookie stuff, in a more complete and groomed and primped state, yeah, it's just not happening. So even if I can praise some of the core elements of the songs on this record, the effect of listening to it due to, you know, just the looseness of it and the smudginess of it, it does impact the overall quality and, you know, really just kind of hold things back a bit. It's still a decent and listenable pop punk album with some good highlights on it, and there are far, far worse albums in the Green Day catalog for sure. I can put this probably around the middle in the C.
You are out of your mind, bro. What? Kerplunk is mid. Huh? No. Okay, from this point forward, no one should take Fantano seriously anymore when he talks about Green Day. You're out of your mind. Welcome to Paradise, Christy Road, 80, Words I Might Have Ate, fucking literally any other song, bro. Give me a fucking break. It's mid? Get out of here with that shit. No. Yo, watch him put Dookie in C tier as well. You'd be out of your fucking mind then. Have some sense. I really would like to know where you would put 39 Smooth, actually, now that we know that he considers Kerplunk to be average at best. Well, actually, no, the grading scale is S to F, so he thinks that Kerplunk is like maybe middling to below average then, which if that's the case, what the fuck? So many problems with this.
Criticisms at 39 and Smooth. I think, you know, a lot of what I'm saying here can just kind of, you know, apply in total to this early leg of the band's career, just to kind of speed through that for efficiency's sake. Following this 1994 album, the band's big breakthrough project, that would be Dookie, a record that I...
Dookie belongs in S tier. This is not negotiable. Anything less, garbage opinion. Garbage opinion. This record is a masterpiece. It goes anywhere below S tier, we have problems.
Personally, as I was saying earlier, have a lot of memories of and nostalgia.
Yeah, okay, and then me too. Every single time I listen to Dookie, it's just a very listenable record. Back to front, you get to Chomp, Longview, Welcome to Paradise. From beginning to end, it's a listenable record. You can do it back to front. No frills, just straight rock and roll or straight pop punk rock and roll. Nothing really, there's no really standout tracks except for maybe... not any Miss Sleepiest. I'm gonna fucking murder myself. I don't remember this track. It's a song about Billie Joe's emotionally abusive ex-girlfriend. Pulling Teeth, that's the song. Yeah. And the reason why I think that it's weird is because, well, one, when I tried to play it on guitar, I looked up to the chord shapes for it. Billie, for whatever reason, when he decided to throw in, when he was writing the song, he decided to throw in like a weird F chord where you have to like contort your hand like this in order to play the chord. And it's in like the most awkward position in the middle of the song. And you're not used to playing it because the rest of the record, the rest of the album uses like the same handful of chord progressions.
The A row. Putting it right in.
Okay, so Dookie in A tier. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. This record is fucking great from back to front. Like I'm saying, that belongs in S tier. No negotiations. I do want to know where he ranks Insomniac and Nimrod. That would be very telling what he thinks of Green Day as a band. Insomniac, I would put an A or S tier personally. Perhaps even B tier. Perhaps. I'd have to have a really bad day to put Insomniac in B tier. Anything lower, opinion disregarded.
It's got all the energy and all of the youthful push and power of Dookie, but it doesn't have like any of the versatile songwriting. A lot of the chord progressions and drum beats, frankly, are kind of forgettable. Not...
Oh my god, please. Forgettable. Forgettable, he says. Yo, here's something cool. Fucking the same, Green Day uses the same fucking chord progressions on Dookie as they do in Insomniac. They've done this for a while. They're the same chords. I know how to fucking play the songs. They're the same chord progressions, you just can't tell the difference.
To mention Billie Joe Armstrong's vocals kind of succumb to the guitars on a lot of the mixes too. This thing is loud, it's got a lot of energy.
Oh gee, I wonder why his voice is so buried in the mix, because it wants to be loud, aggressive, and well, yeah, it wants to be a loud, aggressive, annoying, obnoxious punk record as opposed to the poppiness of Dookie. It's almost as if there's a contrast between these two records. And again, Insomniac being a reaction to the reception of Dookie as well as what happened to the band in their own personal lives, you would see why they would want to do this as well. The reaction to When I Come Around, to Welcome to Paradise, to Longview even. Fucking the first song out of Green Day's thing for Insomniac was an MTV music video that got fucking banned from being played on the network because it was about one of Billie Joe's friends getting a tooth extracted due to heavy drug abuse. Like, what the fuck does this man want from a Green Day record? Armitage Shanks, Brat, Stuck With Me, Geek Stink Breath. The Geek Stink Breath, I think, was the music video that got banned from MTV. No Pride, Bob's Uvula Who, like 86, Panic Song even. Story in the Ave, Brain Stew, Jaded, Westbound Side, Tightwad Hill, Walking Contradiction. I don't hate a single song off this album. Brat, maybe. I don't know. Bob's Uvula Who, have listened to it enough, but when they do come on, I do enjoy them. I don't actively hate the song or start reaching for the skip button after the choruses, right? That doesn't happen when I listen to Insomniac. And I don't think that happens to anyone who really listens to this record, at least, you know, except if your name is Fantano, but we'll see.
But it doesn't have a lot of standout specifics. In a way, it sort of felt like the band was kind of driving the whole pop punk thing into the ground. I mean, one of the most memorable singles from this entire project was Brain Stew, and that track has almost like kind of a slow, mid-paced grunge rock vibe to it. Plus, I feel like in terms of chords and lyrics, that is a track that 5 or 6 lesser bands could have written other than Green Day. So yeah.
Okay, also, here's the thing too. During his Saviors review, maybe I'll put something in here after work in the edit, drags on Billie Joe Armstrong's as a lyricist, like lyrics that he put on Saviors, to the tune of it being like, oh, it's all about being optimistic, or like, you know, there's a little jaded slant to the optimism as well. And it's like, this man would shit his fucking pants if he read the lyric sheet for Insomniac and Nimrod if he didn't listen to any of the songs first. Like, this is just how they've been. It's all about fucking talking about their own personal shit, all the things that they've been talking about. Like, I'll find the quote and I'll respond and post to it. But like, if he doesn't like Savior's lyrics, I don't understand how he could like Nimrod or Insomniac's lyrics even, because like, what the fuck? This is just the style that he writes in.
Even some of the writing on this thing just felt bland and also sort of beneath them, considering what they just released the previous year.
Also, I think I'm getting a better idea of who Fantano is and what music he listens to. I mean, just going over his YouTube channel, he mostly listens to pop music. Okay, so him valuing vocal performances over everything else makes sense. And not valuing guitar work as much makes sense a little bit more as well, because in pop music, vocalists, you're usually sit higher in the mix. They're more prevalent. The lyrics are more important. Again, not to be super specific about that, but that's generally the vibe I'm getting from this. Yeah, I can see where he's coming from with that, but he needs to also consider that the vocals on this album are not the primary concern.
Insomniac, while it's fine, it's listenable, it just sort of feels rushed in comparison to Dookie. It's okay, it's passable, nothing on it too awful, but nothing on it as standout as anything they did on Dookie. I will put this in.
Oh my god! So just the direct comparison here. He said that Kerplunk's production was garbage, and for him that ruins the whole listening experience, despite this, the lyrics and the guitar, bass work, and drum work in there, it gets muddied. So here we have Green Day basically rectifying all those issues that he has with Kerplunk, and by comparison, he is saying that they now objectively are on equal footing. So his main complaints were Billie Joe's vocals are too low, the lyrics aren't that great, but like putting it next to Kerplunk, like these are fucking awesome records. I don't understand. I gotta back this up. This is fucking
so
what?
Yeah, even it doesn't have a lot of standout specifics. In a way, it sort of felt like the band.
Yo, okay, so fucking Stir It in the Ave and Mike's bass solo for for like the songs in the album. Like, his bass work isn't exceptional. Like, it's the whole reason why I like this thing, why I like this album. Stuck With Me, you know, Cast Down, Buried in a Hole, and then we have the fucking bass solo in there. That's fucking cool. Also, where's International Super Hits on this? I'm actually curious on where, if he is going to rank them. Tywood Hill, Westbound Sign, like, what the fuck? I don't understand how you consider this album to be average or below average even.
1997, we have the record Nimrod. Green Day took a few more years to stew.
God bless you, Nimrod. see how this album fails or fares with this fucking guy. Okay,
on this one, and it freaking sounds like it. We actually have more memorable songs again on this thing.
Okay, so he's more interested in the pop aspect of songs. That we can confirm that as well. So he's not interested in the dark, deep, heavy stuff, or what Green Day tried to do with Insomniac. He wants like lyrics. He wants more lighter tones and good vocal performances for records, I think. Doesn't really give a shit about guitar work, doesn't really give a shit about the drum work, doesn't really give a shit about Mike Dirn's bass work on Insomniac, as we've established. So yeah, again, for fucking Nimrod, where I would place Nimrod here, I would put it below Insomniac. There is a good, if you stuck Nimrod on, like, say, By No Means be my first choice, if I want to say, hey, let's listen to a Green Day album. Nice Guys Finished Last, Hitchin' a Ride, The Grouch, one of my favorite songs actually, Redundant, Scattered, All the Time, Worry Rock, Platypus. All right, so also for the record, Time of Your Life is on this record as well. Okay, yeah, and this record, again, a little bit different, but different in a good way. I think you should place this higher than Insomniac, because based on what we've heard from Fantano here, he values vocal performances, catchy poppy stuff. It should be in B tier on between Dookie and Insomniac, I think. So again, we have Nice Guys Finished Last, Hitchin' a Ride, The Grouch, Redundant, All the Time, Worry Rock, Platypus, I Hate You, where, you know, we try and go a little bit more into the hardcore stuff as well. Take Back, is Take Back on this record? Yes. Okay. So we started maybe dipping our toe into maybe some hardcore stuff for punk. So he should appreciate that as well if he does call himself a punk fan. Uptight, good. Last Ride In, great instrumental track. Hashuninka, good song. That was supposed to be on Dookie. Walking Alone, all right. Reject is good. Take Back, good song. King for a Day, very entertaining live, very entertaining to listen on the record. Time of Your Life, self-explanatory. Prosthetic Head doesn't get enough attention, especially for myself, because I don't think I've ever listened to that song. But yeah, this is a great lineup for an album as far as everything goes. None of the songs are too long. The longest song on the record is Last Ride In because it's instrumental. All the songs are like 2 to 3 minutes long. 3 minutes mostly average, but yeah.
Even in the deep cuts. And on top of it, Green Day, while maintaining their punk energy, was getting a bit more mature when it came to some of the lyrics, some of the instrumental nuances, really diversifying things aesthetically here, proving that they're not just like, you know, stuck in this pop punk pigeonhole. And on top of it, this is also where the band gets one of their biggest and greatest and long-standing hits. That would be Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, which, yes, is overplayed, but it is in fact one of Billie Joe's best ballads. And I think that did impact the trajectory of the band past this point because, you know, it showed that they could sort of maintain that view as a pop punk band, that people would still take them as such, but they could throw out, like, you know, ballads that the fans love, and they could throw out ballads that would do well commercially, that they
You know, what's also super crazy about this too is that Good Riddance was also, I think, planned to be released with Dookie as well. Or it was on the books for Insomniac or something like this. It was warehouse somewhere. It was recorded, but Billie Joe was sort of hesitant to release it for some unexplained reason. I don't recall the reason, but yeah. So can you guys imagine if they didn't put that shit out on Nimrod, where the band would be now? This is a good point he's making as well. So just like, think about that.
Nimrod, even though generally I think it's kind of perceived as being on just about at the same level as everything else that the band released immediately after Dookie,
he's going to put it in D tier.
I actually think it's a pretty good album, certainly a step up from Insomniac. It feels less like the band is just kind of like going through the motions or giving us a bunch of bland leftovers from the last record. Feels like new.
Wait, okay, so is that what he thinks Insomniac is?
Certainly a step up from Insomniac. It feels less like the band is just kind of like going through the motions or giving us a bunch of bland leftovers from the last record. Feels like new.
That's funny. That's hilarious. To say that Insomniac has like, he still thinks that Insomniac has like zero thought put into it, bro. Like, what the fuck is your problem? I have no other way to say it, but he just fucking hates this band. Leftover shit. Man, wait until he finds out what fucking half the songs on Dookie were. They're supposed to get on Kerplunk. And actually the other, Welcome to Paradise and all this other songs from 39 Smooth, as I've said, and Kerplunk were supposed to be big hits that were supposed to make it on Dookie. The album was supposed to be a lot longer, but they had to cut it for time. Like, oh, this is unfucking believable what I'm hearing. This is great.
Fresh song.
This is so fucking funny. All right, let's continue.
A slightly different direction, while not completely departing from what made them appealing as a band to begin with. Sure, it may not have something as direct and as you know, stupid and as riffy as Brain Stew, but it doesn't need it. It has good songs on it. I would.
Hitchin' a Ride, maybe. I don't think he's listened to this record at all. I don't think so.
Put this one over in B. B for Bam.
Interesting. Okay.
This one's pretty decent. All right, following this, we have
decent, he says. Oh no, we're gonna talk about warning. Oh shit. Okay. I fucking hate this whole tier list already still. I would put, in reality though, I would swap, I would either put Insomniac and Nimrod in B tier, or I'd put Insomniac in B tier and Nimrod in C tier. Kerplunk would go in A tier, Dookie would be in S tier.
band's 2000 record, Warning. This is a weird record in Green Day's catalog because it's not one a lot of people seem to talk about generally or go back to. Kind of gets overshadowed by the second major huge commercial peak they hit right after this with American Idiot, which followed this record, and also allegedly an album that never saw the light of day because it got stolen. It's also not surprising to hear this album contributed to an era where the band was actually kind of slowing down a bit and considering possibly a breakup. They had been going for a decade plus at this point. A lot of the bands that came up in the same time they did were also aging sort of poorly and not doing the best artistically and commercially. And on this LP, I feel like Green Day is a pop punk band in name and in name only. I feel like they were being categorized as such at this point just out of politeness, because this record is really more of a power pop LP with also a bunch of alt rock tunes on it. In a lot of ways, the tunes on this thing feel like the same sort of safe radio rock schlock that Green Day was a fun and interesting alternative to in the mid-90s. And now, lo and behold, that is pretty much what they're delivering to us.
I don't disagree with anything he's saying here. I do want to see where he places Warning though, because I do like the record. Blood, Sex, and Booze is one of the more funnier songs, I think, for reasons that I don't think I can really explain on YouTube. Church on a Sunday is a good song. Fashion Victim, Castaway, good song. Misery, best song on the record, I think. Debbie Holiday, no. Hold On, no. Jackass, no. Waiting, good. Minority, good. Macy's Day Parade, very good.
As we are transitioning into the 2000s. Really, the most significant thing you can say about this record is that there's not much to say. It's really that unimaginative, bland, and uninteresting. I would put it in the
I would not say unimaginative, like, at all. There is some work put in here.
Section. It's not even offensive. It's just kind of eh. All right. Follow.
No, it belongs in C tier, not D tier.
Warning.
This is gonna piss me off for the rest of the video. Holy shit! I have to look away.
Several years later comes the big commercial kahuna, the second wind. That would be American Idiot, an album that I've never really been a fan of. Even
no, what? What the fuck? Okay, all eyes on this man right now. You'll be out of your fucking mind if you put this anywhere below A tier. This needs to be put above or next to Dookie on this list. If we don't, we have a fucking problem. I am waiting to see what he wants to do with this fucking list.
Feel like the fact that I was into Green Day prior, sort of heard them fall off a bit over the years. On top of that, in college, when this record came out, I was pretty inoculated to a lot of 2000s pop punk because I was slowly becoming a bit of a punk purist and only listening to, like, you know, 70s stuff and hardcore and all sorts of weird lo-fi shit from the genre from way back when. So at the time this record came out, not only was I just not into the vibe of it, not into the sound of it, sounded overproduced to me at the time, and still does to a degree. To this.
Yo, so the rock opera is an overproduced record. Are you fucking out of your mind, bro? Please. Clearly.
Day. Then
oh man, dude, we had to make sure that what does he expect? Okay, so he thinks that Kerplunk is too sloppy. The mix is really bad for Insomniac, but American Idiot's overproduced. How do you have all these ideas floating around your head at the same time as you're considering the discography of a band? So their first album was sloppy and you knocked them down for that. Maybe that's fair, maybe that isn't. Putting Insomniac next to it because you don't like where the vocals are placed and saying that the riffs are kind of lame and boring. No, there's a lot of variety in there. I'm like, and now we're saying that their biggest commercial hit was overproduced, when it's supposed to be a concept fucking rock opera album. I don't, I'm getting nervous.
And there was also the excessiveness of it too, which didn't quite appeal to me at the time. I mean, I could see where it was coming from with some of the glammier bits and proggier bits and arena rock bits, the stuff that, you know, was clearly influenced by the likes of
Queen
and Bowie and touching a little folk punk here and there too. However, personally, I just don't really feel like this album had anything to offer me at the time, because not only did the musical excessiveness, the operaticness of it not pair well, in my opinion, with Green Day's, you know, pop punk bass instrumentation, but also on top of it, I just don't really think Billie Joe is that profound of a lyricist.
Yeah, that seems to be his beef with the band. He thinks that Billie Joe Armstrong can't write lyrics. This whole fucking album is just a complete and utter refutation of that argument. This is, it's saying that while you have American Idiot and you're evaluating where it goes in their discography is just totally wrong. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Oh my god. I don't want to rip out a whole the fucking lyric sheet that I have that came with the record. I don't want to go line by line and say that this is my fucking favorite. I mean, if this album came out today and he made a video about it, he'd probably be clowning on the line from St. Jimmy going, "I am the son of a bitch of Edgar Allan Poe." And he would go on and on about that for probably another minute or two and go, "Oh, this lyrics are goofy. The song is about a loser fucking washed up old guy punk guy who's literally supposed to be a bad influence on the protagonist of the album. He's a fucking moron in the context of the album's story. Like, I don't know what else to say. Saying that Billie Joe is not a good lyrics, Billie Joe Armstrong is not, like, getting on here and saying that Billie Joe Armstrong is not a good lyricist while you're critiquing American Idiot is just the most asinine thing I think I've ever seen anybody do when critiquing any form of media. And that's kind of my channel's thing. So with that being said, where is he going to place it?
At least not to the point where I'm just hanging on every word because I'm just having my mind blown by his social critiques. Keep in mind, at the time, Green...
Dude, all you really need to say to piss off half America nowadays, again, which they proved before, you know, the new year, the 24th, is just say, I'm not a part of insert conservative agenda name here. And then you have people going online and on Twitter going, "Oh, Green Day's went woke. Oh my God, I can't believe they said this about my own political biases." They changed the lyric to say that I don't fucking like conservatives, essentially. How could the leftist punk band from California talk about this? They got up and played a 20-year-old fucking pop punk song, or punk song, whatever you want to fucking call Green Day, and they pissed off half of America on live TV as they played it. How the fuck can you say such things?
I'm just having my mind blown by his social critiques. Keep in mind,
sometimes you just have to say, I don't want to be part of the redneck agenda to piss a lot of people off. It's very, very easy, especially nowadays when everyone just wants to gruff off anything they perceive as woke. By the way, also just to contextualize this, Green Day was touring with, I think, Pansy Division, I believe that the band was called. I almost said Queer Division. So their frontman, the lead singer, I believe, the frontman for the band was openly gay. It got to a point where he's getting harassed by people in the crowd, and Green Day came out on stage, and say, "Shut the fuck up, stop talking, do not harass our opening act, or we will not play." That's their politics. That's always been the case. And that also stems from their whole thing, well, being, going to shows at Gilman Street. They still incorporate that shit into the shows today. They pull, people who paid for VIP tickets, obviously. That's a whole nother discussion. But it's part of their act. They pull people up on stage to play guitar. They pull people up on stage just to hang out, headbang, and then dive into the crowd. I saw the show on the RevRad tour in West Palm Beach in Florida. They had a kid who dressed up as Trey Cool, who they invited up on the stage, have him played a couple chords, hang out with Trey, and then he fucking stage dived off the stage and the crowd carried him to the back of the stadium. It was fucking cool. And they're still doing that. And like Small Bars now for the Saviors promotional tour, which I think out of everything the band has done has been one of my favorite things that they have done as far as promoting albums. Going around, busking, playing at small shows, playing Dookie back to front in Small Bars. It's fantastic. Saying that Billie Joe isn't a profound lyricist or whatever the album was trying to say about Bush era America wasn't profound enough at the time is fucking idiotic. Like, Jesus Christ.
And at the time Green Day was popular in the 90s, I was really huge into Rage Against the Machine. Later, I would go on to be into a lot of radical punk music and more modern metal records that also had like a political edge, like System of a Down. Rappers who also had some pretty radical politics. So by the time American Idiot came around, and I was already very much in like sort of like a fuck George Bush sort of mode, I was already rocking against Bush. Yeah, so by the time this record dropped, it just felt like basic and shallow, and as far as like, you know,
shallow. Oh my god, bro. Jesus of Suburbia is one of the best songs ever written, and anyone out there can fight me on it. What's Her Name is probably one of the best songs that Green Day has ever written. Homecoming, fucking awesome. All those songs just by themselves are amazing. And I could talk about, sure, we could talk about how songs like, say, She's a Rebel is like fucking is kind of like a drag on the album, but then you have Letter Bomber afterwards, so it's okay. Come on, what's the big deal?
Observations of American idiocy, very surface level. Plus, there were tracks on this thing like She's a Rebel that, in my opinion,
how's that? That's funny.
And reduce everything the record is trying to say politically down to what just kind of feels like
it's almost as if this is a rock opera, that there's a narrative being told here, and She Is a Rebel is part of the narrative. Just a thought.
An aesthetic, or like, oh man, isn't she so cool and sexy? She's rebellious.
Hey, Fantano, what's the song that comes after this one?
Which again to me is how the entire record feels. It feels like it's
so it's just like a bunch of hot air, essentially. That's what he's saying. This whole album is just hot air. Fuck, I hate this so much. He's saying that the album is pretentious, essentially, which I don't know how you got that at all. Okay, where are you gonna place this, son?
Embracing these political messages because it thinks there's something sexy or appealing in it, which is why ultimately the critiques that it's making are not super deep or profound or scathing. Like a lot of what's being said on this record isn't getting to the heart of much. Still, with that being said, Holiday, really good anthem. Wake Me Up When September Ends, as much as you know, Billie Joe finds it annoying that some fans have turned that song into a meme. That's a good one too. It has its highlights. It has its strong points.
Not going to talk about Jesus of Suburbia or anything else. Are you okay? All right. Let's see where he puts it.
But again, the operaticness, the excessiveness, the lack of lyrical depth, despite the fact that the album is very much convinced that it is saying something radical.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up and then place
that just kind of makes American Idiot something I'm kind of torn on, frankly. And to add, I do like the fact that this record did set the stage for other albums in, you know, punk and alternative music to, you know, try their hand at doing something kind of ambitious, like My Chemical Romance with Black Parade. Love that record. So, you know, American Idiot and its effects, not all bad, but also because of this album, we did get the American Idiot original Broadway cast recording, and that is unforgivable. So I'm going to probably just throw this one over in C. We're going to leave it in C. All right, 5 years later.
What the fuck? Okay. Anything this man says from this point onward is just, I'm just going to laugh at him. That is fucking ridiculous. I don't even think he listened to American Idiot. He's just going off vibes. You cannot, there's no conceivable way you can call Billie Joe Armstrong a poor lyricist after listening to American Idiot. You're out of your fucking mind. Now, if songs like The Governator, where Mike sings, made it onto the record, I would understand that. But they didn't. They're B-sides. They're not on the record. Oh, man. Okay, this is an offense to God. This is an offense to music. Holy shit. No one should trust at all what this man says. Kerplunk, Insomniac, and American Idiot are average to below average as far as Fantano is concerned. One for Kerplunk because he thinks the production is pretty vapid, despite the fact that it is their first record. The foundation for the band is there. And then he complains about the reverse problem for Insomniac, and he puts it in the same tier. But then he doesn't have any problems with Nimrod. But then we also answer everything, all his complaints about production with American Idiot, and now it's an overproduced record that has no depth. What the fuck are you talking about?
5 years later.
Oh God, now let's talk about 21st Century Breakdown. Okay.
Idiot, that would be 21st Century.
Okay, and then he's not going to talk about the background of this record, so I'm gonna talk about it. So Green Day did not like him. So Green Day did not like making this record whatsoever. They fucking hated it. The production was absolute hell. And this is also why they don't play any of the songs off the album live. The general impression I get from other Green Day fans, including myself, is that this whole record was trying to replicate the success of American Idiot. But there is enough here to where I think we can still call it its own record, its own thing. Right? There's a little story being told here. We're still trying to ride the rock opera wave, of course. Some of the songs here are encroaching upon 4.5 to 5 minutes. Some of them are over 5 minutes. But like saying that, I don't know Your Enemy, 21st Century Breakdown isn't good. Before the Lobotomy isn't good. Or like East Jesus Nowhere isn't good. Peacemaker, again, that's one of my favorite Green Day songs as well. Restless Heart Syndrome is super fucking good. 21 Guns, obviously, that was a big pop hit that he's probably going to talk about as well. American Eulogy, Mass Hysteria, Modern World, probably one of my favorite songs. They played it in Japan live. I love the live recording as well of that song. And then, you know, just saying everything out here, having Mike cut in on the second verse or the back end of the song is very good. That was a good choice. Where I would put this at C. So again, my tier list would be American Idiot, Dookie at S tier. Kerplunk and Insomniac at A, Nimrod and Warning at B, and I would put 21st Century Breakdown at about C, I would think. 39 Smooth, I would put an A.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. I feel like this album takes everything that was bad about American Idiot, multiplies it, then takes everything that was good about American Idiot and flushes it down the toilet. In fact, I feel like the existence of this record sort of invalidates American Idiot to a degree because it shows that Green Day was unable to take away anything good from the success of that project and the alleged social profundity of it, because this record is even longer. It's even more excessive. Its social commentary even more piss poor, and also just kind of feels like an aesthetic, a costume that it's wearing to
Okay, so now we're asking what it means to be punk. Punk can mean whatever the fuck you want it to be. This is the argument that I get from most people who criticize Green Day from, like, you know, outside the band, or, you know, people who aren't, say, a part of like the left political spectrum, let's say. The only stipulation I think is that you can't be a conservative and be punk. That's just, I don't think that's just allowed. They see punk as like an aesthetic rather than a message, and I think Fantano is having the same problems. Punk is not being cynically anti-establishment. It's about essentially being yourself in a society that doesn't want you to, well, do exactly that. And so far, Green Day's messages throughout all of their albums have adhered to that message. It's not, the whole message isn't just fuck George Bush or fuck the establishment, as Rage Against the Machine would often say. It's not just fuck everybody else except, you know, me. I'm cool. I'm the only one who is cool, in fact. I don't understand where this whole argument of it being an aesthetic is from. And I would also want him to elaborate upon what he thinks the social commentary of 21st Century Breakdown is about. Like, the title track is basically Billie talking about his home life, essentially. Born into Nixon, I was raised in hell. Born in the neighborhood where the Teamsters dwell. I believe that's the first opening lines of the song. And then he invokes John Lennon by saying, I never made it as a working class hero. There's something happening to America, like something that's happening right in front of us at this specific time, but we can't sort of rationalize it, like how this country is changing after 9/11 and during the invasion of Afghanistan, all these different happenings. So I'm not really sure how that's supposed to be a vapid critique. It's just Billie observing what's going on in the world around him, and he's done this throughout all of his records as well. Anything after American Idiot, we'll see some things going on with, like, say, with Saviors as well, Living in the 20s. The American Dream is Killing Me. Anything else that's going on with this. He talks about this a lot throughout his lyrics. I'm not entirely sure where this criticism is stemming from. And the worst part is he's not going to elaborate upon it either, which is immensely frustrating. So I can't even respond to that.
Have some sort of weird radical appeal when it in fact is not fucking appealing to anybody with any kind of radical view on anything. It also embraced the whole rock opera thing harder too, and just made Green Day feel even less like a punk band, frankly, and more like a big bloated corporation that for whatever reason was just too big to fail at this point. Yeah, this album stinks and is annoying, and the idea of sitting through it really makes my skin crawl. I'm going to put it over in E. All right,
you're out of your minds. Just no. If anything, I would put that album in C tier. It's to say that it's absolutely offensive to hear, and he's absolutely going to put Father of All in F tier. To put 21st Century Breakdown and Father of All in the same, and implying that they are almost equally as masturbatory as their lyrics and instrumentals go, is a fucking asinine opinion. All right. There is absolutely zero thought being put into Father of All. Maybe like Sugar Youth. No, I didn't even put it in Sugar Youth. Graffitia, possibly. But like, Jesus Christ, saying that like Green Day, like 21st Century Breakdown is as asinine or almost as asinine to listen to as Father of All back to front is a fucking asinine opinion. You're just wrong. I don't know how else to explain that.
Of sitting through it,
fucking hell,
really makes my skin crawl. I'm gonna put it over.
So he would rather sit through Warning back to front than 21st Century Breakdown. That's interesting. Okay, all right, bro. I mean, like, it doesn't really mean anything. I already said whatever he says from this video, from this point onward, it's just invalid. I honestly don't know what he expects from this band. Every single criticism he's levied against Green Day thus far highlights his desire for Green Day to want to be more of a pop band rather than a punk band. And they deliver with 21st Century Breakdown in that regard, and he fucking hates it. He said that he appreciates when Green Day does good ballads. There's plenty of those on this record. Billie Joe's lyrics are really good on this record, but okay.
Green Day's discography, which the fans know is the Uno Dos Tre trilogy. I'm going to talk about.
All right, so I might give him a pass on some of these because in my defense, I do not like most of these records. I haven't listened to them back to front. Out of the three, I think I prefer Uno out of all of them. What he shouldn't be doing is ranking them all in the same category. That is a massive fucking blunder. If he does that, then I think we just know he's grading everything off vibes. Because he's not giving them a fair shake if he does that.
These records were received at the time, and maybe this was the case within the paradigm and the time frame that they were put out. But still, you would think that not only was this like the lowest point the band could ever reach, but it was also like the lowest point that an American band of Green Day's size and influence could possibly reach. Like, these records are like the worst thing that you could possibly imagine Green Day putting out, which again, to me is interesting and hilarious considering that they had just put out fucking 21st Century Breakdown. Uno Dos Tre.
Okay, so what does he mean? Like, as in 21st Century Breakdown being a bad record? Just this hatred of 21st Century Breakdown is kind of sending me for a loop here if we're tying this criticism back to the trilogy. Is he saying that he now prefers it to Uno Dos and Tre? Yeah, I mean, like, if he puts any of these fucking albums in F tier, we're going to have a problem because there are some absolute bangers across all these albums. Okay, so he doesn't want overproduced records. He doesn't want, he wants the vocals to be mixed in such a fashion as to them having the primary function of the song. He wants more poppy songs. I mean, he should like Uno, at least, I think.
3 albums back to back to back, over 30 tracks in total. Yes, this project, this series of projects, it's excessive too in its own way. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the material on these records collectively is not that bad. It's Green Day returning to form, going back to basics.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, if I were to pull on another comparison for another band, like say Metallica, for example, Una Dos and Trey would be their Death Magnetic. Not as good, obviously, but this is them returning back to their old, like say Nimrod, Insomniac roots, maybe a little bit of Dookie thrown in. It's mostly comparative to Warning. Like think of a hodgepodge mixture of Nimrod and Warning, then you would have the Trilogy, I would think. Yes. So in regards to that, that's good. I'm glad we nailed that in criticism.
Billie Joe and company making the extra effort to have the recordings sound, live to tape really did, I think, impact the way these tracks vibe and feel. It's kind of exciting. It's punchy. Yeah, it may not be as raw as like, the Dookie era stuff, but at least the band isn't spending hours of wasted time trying to impress you with like, oh man, look at what we think about like Ritalin and Jesus and Suburbia.
All right, you're a fucking dumbass. I don't know how else to explain it. I have no, he doesn't understand American Idiot at all. He has no conception of what the album is trying to fucking say. How can you ask Green Day to be better lyricists when you don't even understand what the fuck the lyrics are trying to say in a fucking rock opera album? How are you this dumb? Explain. Actually, don't even bother explaining because you can even find the words. Oh my god! Just like the utter disdain for this band is criminal. Not even speaking from a Green Day fan perspective at this point, but like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? Soda Pop and Riddle, like Jesus Christ. For the love of Jesus of Suburbia, I gotta listen to that one more time. Make sure I'm not having a stroke.
Yeah, it may not be as raw as like, the Dookie.
Maybe we'll have another one, who knows?
But at least the band isn't spending hours of wasted time trying to impress you with like, oh man, look at what we think about like Ritalin and Jesus and Suburbia. And look, I've seen people tear these records apart as like, oh man.
Oh my God. He's such a jackass. It is very brave for this man to get on the internet and deride American Idiot for its apparently lackluster lyrics, and then in the same breath say that he doesn't fucking understand anything about the album. Oh my God, what a fucking fool.
And they're not deep, they're not saying anything, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's like what they were doing on their early shit. I would rather Billie Joe play to his strengths lyrically in the way that he does on these projects than hear him try and miserably fail over and over and over to define American suffering, inequality, so on and so forth on 21st Century Goddamn Breakdown. Now, look, with 30 plus tracks across all these records.
I can't take anything he says seriously anymore after I just heard that. I cannot. I think he heard Father of All once, like back to front as an album, and then that just immediately, like retroactively, made his opinions about the band just worse. It like spoiled the lot for him, I think. It just total mask off. He does not understand why people like this band. He does not appreciate the band's strengths, and seems to only want to highlight the weaknesses. And when he does want to highlight the strengths, he downplays them as a complete waste of time. So I don't understand. What the fuck do you want? He wants a pop record, but when they put out a pop record, it's not good enough. And the rock album is too overproduced, so therefore garbage. The lyrics, which I want from more Green Day, I want Green Day to write better lyrics and focus really, really hard on that stuff, and have lyrics and vocals take the primary function of the album. Oh, it's average. Are you fucking kidding me?
Are there some duds? Yes, of course there are. There are duds, there are silly tracks. The band, obviously, with all these songs, leaves a lot of room to make mistakes, and mistakes are certainly made. But there are way more catchy tracks on this thing than there are shit ones. The performances, again, are pretty good, and they're not bloated with a bunch of useless extra instrumentation where they're trying to convince you of like, oh man, we're so operatic, we're epic, we're like Queen, but punk, man. No, I would rather just listen to them do this because honestly, they're better at it. Now, does that mean I love these albums front to back and that I would like, you know, subject myself to listening to every single one of them collectively? No, but.
All right, so don't list them then. Get them the fuck off the list. Do not list them. If you haven't listened to these records, you should not be ranking them. Why did you waste 20 minutes of my time if you're not gonna, Am I being unreasonable by saying that he shouldn't be ranking or reviewing shit that he didn't like listen to or attempt to understand? Am I being unreasonable? I don't think I am. Okay, well, I'll evaluate it as a whole project. The whole thing is an incredible mixed bag. The bad for me often cancels out the good. I would put it probably in C tier. The whole thing is Green Day at their average. I will maintain, in fact, at this point in the video, Badger Knight from the future, if you're in post, please put this at the start of the video. It took Green Day 13 albums to make that 13th album, Father of All, a bad record. Up until this point, they have never had a objectively bad record. All of them have value. Sure, there's some stinker tracks every once in a while. Looking back in retrospect, I don't think I hate any one of their records in particular. If his Green Day song comes on, I'll enjoy it. But like, I don't think up until Father of All, they have made a objectively bad album. But yeah, okay, let's just see where he fucking places this.
I think if you whittled the crap out of Uno, Dos, and Trey and just like, you know, pulled them all together into one record, all the best moments, you would have an album that at the very least is as good as Nimrod. It's just hard to see it because the band gave you so much stuff all at once, and some of it
is he gonna put it in B next to Nimrod?
Isn't really good. And hearing so much Green Day in one year does kind of expose some things, at least, like the inherent lack of versatility in the pop punk genre, how repetitive some of the band's you know, chord progressions or melodic ideas are. You know, certain things get tiresome when you're talking about extending them over 30+ songs. But honestly, in terms of writing and performance, generally speaking, I don't think this was a bad era for Green Day. It just kind of seems bad because it's just too damn much. And if the band put more focus and care into what they were doing across these three.
Okay, so he shares the same criticism that most Green Day fans like myself think about the trilogy. If this was just one solid record, maybe two solid records, maybe like a load and reload sort of thing, that would have benefited them the most instead of splitting up into 3 albums. But
I'm going to throw this in C, Uno, Dos, and Trey.
Okay.
I think they get.
This is the only part of the tier list that I agree with, by the way. Putting Uno in C tier is the only valid thing that you should be doing. I keep saying Uno, but he's not evaluating Uno as an album. He's evaluating the whole entire trilogy, which I don't even think that's fair again. He's completely shown his ass to everybody here that to some of these records, he hasn't even listened. He hasn't even listened to them. So like, why are we fucking making this video and ranking albums and music and the content of said albums if we're not even going to take the time and listen to them back to front?
Overhated. I mean, obviously there's lackluster.
Overhated. Yeah. Okay. So maybe he is a Green Day fan.
Stuff there, but it's really not that fucking
That's
bad,
funny.
especially after having heard.
Oh yeah, we got to bring that up. Okay. Oh god. Oh no. It's a 0. Oh no. Yeah. Look at this bad record. Oh go.
Father of All. And also considering where I put it in the list here, better than Warning 2, which you know, there's highlights there here and there, but it's gutless. It's a gutless record overall. Uno, Dos, and Trey in their best moments does showcase some guts on Green Day's part. And I stand by that. I think the records are maybe due for a smidge of a critical reassessment because frankly, they are not that bad. Now, several years.
I'm curious. Oh, we're talking about RevRad. Oh God. Oh God. I think he did a review on this once. Oh fuck. Now I gotta think about this too. Okay. So again, Green Day for me, as far as discography go. Number 1, American Idiot in S tier. Number 2, Dookie in S tier. Kerplunk, 1039 Smooth. Both of those records in A tier. Quickly followed by Insomniac and Nimrod. Warning, 21st Century Breakdown in C tier. And the Trilogy in C tier as well. RevRad for me, I would think goes in A tier. It belongs right next to Dookie, American Idiot. That belongs right fucking there. There's like 1 or 2 songs which the kind of just spiral along, not really going anywhere, sort of directionless, which is why I will put it in A tier. It's almost as good as American Idiot and Dookie in my opinion. It's exactly everything I wanted, and this is also the first time I saw them live. when they released this record. So special place in my heart. Tracks are good. Everything that I wanted from a Green Day plus a little bit more. Billie Joe got a little personal on this record as well with tracks like Somewhere Now and Forever Now. And also, this is when they tried to make having a midlife crisis sound very cool, which sounds really lame on paper, but if you haven't listened to this record, I encourage you to do so back to front. It's just a sort of a meditation on growing old, both as a performer and as someone who's been in and out of rehab due to alcohol abuse. And there's some political leanings in there as well, with tracks like Bang Bang talking about school shootings and the like, and how certain media radicalizes people in committing these heinous acts. They believe that, you know, life is hopeless and has no meaning, so I should just go kill a bunch of people. That is essentially the album here. So what the fuck is going on?
Years after that, we have the record Revolution Radio, which frankly, yeah, I wasn't crazy about when it came out. I'm still not crazy about now. This record is obviously more focused, but it's also more overproduced. The performances.
What is over? Oh, I hate it when people use the word overproduced. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Aren't as raw or as thrilling and exciting either. Overproduced. The performances aren't as raw or as thrilling and exciting either. I just don't think.
Dude, I think he just wants someone to put like an 8-track cassette tape and hook it up to a microphone in front of a guitar amp and then record an album like that, which I totally respect, by the way. I love that sound, but like, when people say this album's overproduced, I just like, I cannot fucking stand when people do that, because it's just a complete non sequitur to something. Like, if you have something to say about the guitar tone or the bass tone or the way that Billie's vocals are layered, or how Trey is playing the drums, then say so. Don't say that the album is just overproduced, because I don't know what the fuck that means. Right? To me, you're just whining and complaining. Define your criticisms. This guy's supposed to be a fucking music critic, right? He should be able to do that. Anyway, let's keep going.
I think it's a very interesting project from the band overall. They have come out with far worse music, but like Warning, I just don't really think there's a lot to say about it. I don't think it adds that much to the band's catalog overall.
You don't think that Ordinary World, Somewhere Now or Forever Now, like, add anything or inform us about the state of the band, like, at all? Like, again, this is when they came on TV again, making another a comeback, played Bang Bang, and basically just said fuck Donald Trump, and then people got mad at them again for the punk band being punk band. I don't understand.
Not introducing anything new or exciting. It's not a return to form.
I don't understand.
It's underwhelming and predictable and average for Green Day, in just about every way that it can be. I would put it over in D. Okay.
No, you're out of your fucking. Okay, so I guess that's it. He's gonna put Father of All in F tier, probably, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's the. He thinks none of these albums are worthy of S tier. That's crazy. It's oh man. Okay. Like, oh my god, that was the worst video I think I've ever seen in my entire life. That was absolutely dreadful and painful to sit through. Holy fucking shit. Wow, I am just flabbergasted and speechless at this. Okay, so to wrap things up here, he thinks 21st Century Breakdown is almost as masturbatory as Father of All Motherfuckers, essentially. Dookie is not as good as American Idiot, as it turns out. He thinks that Kerplunk is not, despite it being technically the second record. 39 Smooth is still not on here, so I'm just evaluating what he says. 39 Smooth needs to be on this list. You can take the Trilogy off because by your own admission, you did not fucking listen to any of the records. And it's like, okay, so Kerplunk, main criticisms, rough mixing. Second album, cut him some slack, fine. C tier though, absolutely not. B tier or A tier? No, absolutely not. Insomniac? Fuck no. Has it solved all of your problems with Kerplunk? And by putting them together, I'm gonna have to make that comparison. I'm not even including Dookie because they're in the same tier. Like, these albums are so far apart from each other musically and content-wise that they should not even be comparable in terms of this. And then, again, coming back to the whole overproduced bullshit, like, come the fuck on. Like what is overproduced to this guy, right? Like he wants ballads. He likes when Green Day writes ballads. He likes when they lean into the punk bits a little bit. But when they actually offer what he wants in American Idiot, he doesn't like it. He thinks it's average. So I don't know what the fuck he wants from Green Day at this point, as a band, as artists, as lyricists, most importantly, Billie Joe as a vocalist. I don't know what the fuck he wants. This whole list is utterly insane to me. As someone who is a Green Day fan, and even if I wasn't a Green Day fan, Dookie would probably be an S tier for me. Nimrod, if I wasn't a Green Day fan, I probably wouldn't give a fuck about Kerplunk. I would care about 21st Century Breakdown, and maybe a little bit of Revolution Radio, maybe a little bit of the Trilogy as well. This thing is an affront to God and all of music, and I think Fantano needs to just stick to reviewing well, pop artists, essentially, because that's what he wants from this band, and they have demonstrated that they are not at all interested in doing as he wants. They do not want to be a pop band. They want to be Green Day. He just doesn't understand the appeal of this band. And when he tries, by his own admission, he does not want to try to understand why some of the band's biggest hits of their career are popular, or why Green Day felt the need to stick Jesus of Suburbia and Homecoming on this record. 9-minute long songs nearly. He thinks they're self-flagellating, essentially, and unnecessary and unneeded. I don't know what he wants from this band, to be honest. This guy's opinions about music in general, outside of the songs that he likes, should not be trusted. He clearly just has some kind of raging hate boner for this band. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about this. I think we spent enough time going through this tier list and just laughing at him. And this is criminal. Putting American Idiot as average is fucking insane. But yeah, this has been XBadgerKnightX, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you have anything to add about this Fantano list, let me know down in the comment section. If you want me to do more tier lists in the future, let me know. All right, I'll see y'all later. I'm out of here. Goodbye for now.